a good impression. Excuse me.
Reality television thrives on spectacle. It survives on shock, emotional highs and lows, and the illusion that every dramatic moment is unfolding naturally in front of the camera. Viewers are trained to expect cliffhangers, heated arguments, tears, reconciliations, and surprise revelations. Yet the most significant twists often happen far away from the cameras, buried inside contract negotiations, late-night phone calls with producers, and quiet decisions made when someone finally reaches their limit. That is exactly where Amy Slaton found herself. In a move that stunned fans and quietly sent shockwaves through the network, Amy Slaton declined to sign a new contract and stepped away from 1000 LB Sisters before Season 8 even began filming. The decision didn't just surprise viewers. It threatened the foundation of the franchise itself. Amy was not a side character. She was the emotional anchor, the relatable voice, the sister audiences rooted for season after season. For years, fans believed Amy was living the dream she had fought so hard to reach. Fame, financial stability, a platform to inspire others, and a chance to rewrite her story. From the outside, walking away seemed unthinkable. Why would someone leave just as the spotlight burned brightest? The truth, according to those close to the situation, is far more complicated and far more human. To understand why Amy refused to sign on for Season 8, it's necessary to return to the very beginning, long before TLC entered her life. Amy Slaton was never groomed for fame. She wasn't a celebrity, an influencer, or a polished media personality. She was a woman from Dixon, Kentucky, navigating poverty, health struggles, and everyday survival. Long before television contracts, Amy and her sister Tammy turned to YouTube. Their early videos were raw, unfiltered, messy, and often chaotic. There was no production value, no scripted drama, no calculated branding. Just two sisters sharing their lives with honesty and hum. The public reaction has been explosive and unrelenting. Across social media, outrage has erupted in waves, with angry posts, viral clips, and relentless commentary condemning Brian and demanding accountability. Facebook, in particular, has been flooded with thousands of comments, many labeling him cruel, heartless, and completely unfit to be part of any family. One comment echoed repeatedly across platforms, asking how anyone could say something so vicious about innocent children. Another wrote that Amy had fought far too hard to give her kids a loving home for someone to suggest they belonged in an orphanage. The fury is unmistakable, and it has quickly made Brian one of the most despised figures ever associated with the 1000 LB Sisters universe. But the backlash is not only about Brian. It is also about Amy's future. Supporters are pleading with her to leave and never look back, urging her to focus solely on her children and herself. Yet anyone who has followed Amy's journey knows that decisions like these are never simple for her. Amy has always had a soft heart, one shaped and scarred by years of disappointment, rejection, and broken trust. She longs deeply for love, companionship, and the idea of a stable family. At times, that longing has made it painfully difficult for her to let go of relationships that ultimately hurt her. This is the internal battle Amy is now facing. On one side is her need to feel loved and chosen. On the other is the undeniable reality that Brian has betrayed her in one of the most devastating ways possible. The weight of being a public figure only makes this struggle heavier. Every heartbreak is magnified. Every misstep becomes a headline. While others might be able to grieve privately, Amy is forced to navigate her pain in front of millions. According to insiders close to production, Amy has spent hours crying behind the scenes, trying to understand how her life spiraled so far out of control. She has reportedly pleaded with TLC for. Shock rippled through the 1000 LB Sisters fanbase when reports emerged that Amy Slaton's husband, Brian Leavorn, had been arrested on drug charges. What made the situation even more disturbing was the claim that during the fallout, Brian refused to take responsibility for Amy's children. The news landed like a punch to the gut for viewers who had watched Amy fight for stability, safety, and a better future for her family. For Amy, this wasn't just another scandal. It was another devastating blow to a life she had spent years trying to rebuild. After countless struggles, health battles, public judgment, and failed relationships, she believed she had finally found a partner who could offer support and security. Instead, she was faced with betrayal, fear, and uncertainty once again. According to sources close to the situation, Brian's arrest was not minor. Law enforcement reportedly detained him on serious drug-related charges following a routine stop that quickly escalated. Officers allegedly discovered suspicious substances and items suggesting possible intent to distribute. While full legal details had not yet been publicly confirmed, rumors circulating throughout Kentucky painted a troubling picture, one that could lead to long-term incarceration if proven true. Amy was reportedly blindsided. Insiders say she had no idea Brian was allegedly involved in activity of this severity. For a woman already stretched thin emotionally, the realization that the person she trusted may have been living a double life was crushing. Friends described her as shaken, embarrassed, and terrified, not just about public perception, but about what this meant for her children's safety and future. What truly ignited public outrage, however, were the claims about Brian's words toward Amy's children. According to insiders, when Amy confronted him about what would happen to the family, Brian allegedly snapped that he didn't want her kids and cruelly suggested she put them in an orphanage. They argued that the repeated nature of the behavior showed a failure to learn from past mistakes and insisted that TLC should act immediately to protect the children involved as well as the network's reputation. As public outrage continued to grow, insiders began releasing additional details surrounding Amy Slaton's arrest. According to reports, officers carefully documented the entire scene, taking photographs, recording observations, and noting the presence of children inside the vehicle. Official police reports reportedly included detailed accounts of the camel bite incident, the discovery of controlled substances, and Amy's behavior during the arrest itself. Legal analysts suggested these records could become critical pieces of evidence should future court proceedings arise. The timing of the arrest could not have been worse for TLC. The network has spent years building a multi-season franchise centered around Amy and Tammy Slaton, cultivating a deeply invested fan base that feels personally connected to their lives. The arrest threatened to overshadow ongoing storylines, disrupt promotional campaigns, and potentially damage viewer trust. Behind the scenes, executives were reportedly holding emergency meetings, weighing the need for transparency against the risk of further controversy. Industry insiders speculated that TLC faced difficult choices, including temporarily suspending Amy from filming, issuing a public statement, or incorporating the incident into the show's narrative, each option carrying far-reaching consequences. Experts emphasized that children exposed to such incidents often experience long-term struggles with trust, safety, and emotional stability, especially when the situation is amplified by intense public attention. This reality underscored the seriousness of the charges and raised ethical questions about the responsibilities of reality television networks toward families whose lives are broadcast for entertainment. Meanwhile, the Impact DXT. A reality television star from TLC's 1,000-Pound Sisters has once again found herself at the center of public outrage after pleading guilty to drug-related charges stemming from a September arrest in West Tennessee. Amy Slaton Halterman, a Webster County native widely known for her role on the show, was arrested alongside Brian Lavorne following an incident at a Tennessee safari park that initially appeared to be a simple accident but quickly spiraled into a serious legal matter. According to authorities, Crockett County Sheriff's deputies responded to a report that Amy had been bitten by a camel while visiting the safari park with her family. What should have been a routine medical or safety check took an alarming turn when deputies investigated the situation further. During their response, officers discovered marijuana and illegal hallucinogenic mushrooms inside the vehicle occupied by Amy and her companion. Even more troubling was the fact that children were inside the vehicle at the time of the discovery. As a result, Amy Slaton Halterman and Brian Lavorne were arrested and later sentenced to more than 11 months related to the charges. In addition to the jail sentence, the court ordered them to pay a $1,000 fine, complete an alcohol and drug assessment, and attend a state-certified parenting class. The ruling sent shockwaves through the reality TV community and ignited a fierce backlash online. Fans reacted with fury and disbelief as news of Amy's second drug-related arrest spread. Many viewers of 1,000-Pound Sisters expressed heartbreak and anger, struggling to reconcile this incident with the image of the warm, humorous, and loving mother they had watched for years on television. What began as an enjoyable family outing to a safari park had transformed into a nightmare that raised serious concerns about child safety, personal accountability, and the ethics of reality television. For years, Amy Slaton has allowed viewers into the most vulnerable parts of her life. What unfolded during the final days of filming was not simply tension or routine reality television drama. It was a collision of secrets, explosive confrontations, and moments so raw that network executives reportedly debated whether they could be aired at all. What began as what production called a celebratory wrap week quickly unraveled into a volatile storm of suspicion, jealousy, fear, and emotional breaking points. While viewers will ultimately see only a carefully edited, television-friendly version of these events, insiders described a far more chaotic and painful reality behind the scenes. According to multiple producers, the final 3 days of filming contained the most intense real-life conflict the series has ever captured. The situation escalated to such a degree that TLC brought in on-site security, mental health professionals, and, on 2 separate occasions, local authorities. What follows is the unfiltered account of those final days, the version viewers were never meant to know. The crisis began late at night, just hours before the final stretch of filming was set to begin. At exactly 2:38 a.m., Amy placed a frantic call to one of the show's producers. Crew members later confirmed that she was alone in her bathroom, still wearing wedding makeup from a post-ceremony photo shoot. Her voice was shaking. She was crying uncontrollably. She could barely complete a sentence. One crew member described it as a full emotional collapse. Amy repeatedly said she was terrified. Terrified of being married again. Terrified that Tammy was drifting away. Terrified that everything in her life was changing faster than she could emotionally process. For weeks,